everybody, it's your pal Ron Howard from Extreme Sequences, and this is xLights Insights. I got it out. I did it with enthusiasm and somewhat of a voice. So I'm super excited to come back to you folks, as I promised I would, to impart some knowledge on submodels and mapping, whether you're using groups or submodels only or a combination of the two, doesn't matter. And to dispel this belief that in order to make your purchased or shared sequences look great in your show, you absolutely must have the same models. Couldn't be further from the truth. Absolutely absurd that people should believe this. It doesn't matter. These are little holes in chloroplast formed in shapes, and then somebody will take all these different shapes and turn them into submodels, and those submodels are sequenceable, mappable, and some people like me will take all those little shapes and put them in submodel groups because you couldn't really do it the other way very well before. So xLights is an ever-changing software. It continues to change and will continue to change. And there are different mindsets in how you should approach mapping sequences with varying models. Now, I know we had the whole model gateway back and this whole certified thing that was out there. It was pretty funny. I get the idea behind it, but it's really not necessary. So I've taken it upon myself to come up with something that might help you. Now, sure, I could take these, I'll show you in a second. I could take 8 models I've never used really before. I don't use very often. Certainly some of these are very new to me. And just create a whole new line. Call it, I don't know, prop expansion packs and sell them to you. Or say, hey, all my members, you get these for free. Value added bonus. Look at my value proposition. Woohoo, I'm different. I'm different. You know what? It's just so unnecessary. It's just going to create a lot of time for me. So as it takes more time for me to have to create something new to try to attract new people to my business, it's going to steal time from me to focus on what I'm good at, which is, I think, hopefully you agree, sequencing. So I'd rather invest this time creating new sequences. Yes, I have mostly Gilbert Engineering models in my show, and it's been that way for a long time because I've helped breathe some life into these models at the design level and submodel level, and it's just been a gift to be a part of that process and progress. Let's not forget who started the high density revolution and evolution in this holiday. It was Gilbert Engineering. It was me along with them. And the only way I would dispel that or disagree with that might have been the first Boscoyo 340 node spinner. That was a game changer at its time. Before that, the only thing you would call high density was a matrix. In truth, all of our models, they're all matrices. They're all just matrix. The way xLights look at it, left, right, top, bottom, they're just a matrix to xLights, okay? So try to have an open mind when buying Coro from vendors. It doesn't matter. If you like the shape, you like the printing, you like the way it looks in sequences, that's great. But don't think just because it looks great on that model that it's not going to look great on other models. And I'll talk about the models I've chosen. So are you ready to get started? I am. I'm super excited about this. And this is unrehearsed, what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to show you what I spent a few hours on. I'll just skip through some sections. And then I'm going to map before you a song from one model and put it on each of these. So go get your coffee if you need it. By the way, if you find these videos helpful, please smash that thumbs up and please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. And I'm going to try to get through some of these before I'm not able to. So I've had my second treatment of radiation and I had my first chemo treatment yesterday. Tomorrow's probably not going to be a good day, so I'm going to take advantage today. I'm feeling really good. let's get on with this. As you can see before you in the layout tab, let's look at these. What do I have here? This is the showstopper spinner. No groups. Okay. Then we have the showstopper snowflake. No groups. We have the showstopper fountain. I don't believe there are any groups. There are not. Then we have the Boscoil wreath. There are groups. We have the infinity spinner. No groups. We have the fusion showstopper. I believe this is from Charlie's Props. So a couple of these are from Charlie's Props. Infinity spinner and this fusion spinner. And then we have the Boscoil Ice Queen. I like this model a whole bunch. I always have, which is why I included it in some of my add-on packs for Boscoil for like 20 of my sequences. I didn't sell a whole lot, honestly. They just didn't. But the original one that you will get from this model when you download it from xLights is not the same submodels and groups that are in this one. So do take note that we had Eric Meyer clean up this model to make it look super sharp. And then we had a nice gentleman up north, and his name escapes me, and somebody will correct me on this. He went in and made all the submodel and groups. And so that was great. So this has groups. This guy, well, I always said, hey, Ron, if you're going to do the Ice Queen, you might as well put in the Ice Princess. I said, okay, I'll put in the Ice Princess. And then I went to go look at the submodels, and basically, there's not much. Main arms, tips, inner, outer star, diamond group. I mean, yeah, not a lot. Why can I not close this? Oh, hello, Ron. It's the meds. It's the meds. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about these groups. So I have an all pixels group, like I would for anything. Here are the snowflakes group. Okay, and that's basically this. I haven't changed the names of the models. I have not changed the names of the submodels. Whatever Showstoppers did, what Michael Stroffagen put in there, I've changed nothing. I've changed no orders, because that wouldn't make this very fair, would it? Okay. Snowflake rings. As you can see, there's my snowflake rings on the Boscoil flake tips, and then the snowflake model itself. Okay, so these are the 4, I believe, that came with it already. Now the Ice Queen, this is the stuff that was made from others. You're not going to get this from xLights. I don't know if you get this from other vendors, but these have really nice submodel groups in them. Okay, and then we come down here to Showstopper Spinner. No groups. So what are we sequencing to? We're sequencing to submodels. If I open this up, there was a whole bunch of stuff here. Now this whole flake, there's nothing to sequence or map to that, because that is just telling you what type of submodels are under it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it goes on and on and on and on. And I mentioned this in one of my classes, the Expo in Kentucky. I said the number of submodels in this model is ludicrous. Not in a negative context, more of a Spaceballs context, like ludicrous speed. There's a lot. There's a lot. And I thought, gosh, man, this is going to take me forever to try to figure out these. Not really. You just guess, and it looks great, and you're fine. Do you have to use all 100 plus? Nope. Same thing with Fusion Showstopper. If I look at this, we have full models, snowflakes. We got a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm not going to count them, but let's just say there's a lot. So that is the Showstopper Infinity. That's Charlie's Prop Cells. That's the same. We go over here to Showstopper Spinner. Again, we look at all the submodels. How many are in there? 10, 20, 30, 40, 70? I don't know. There's a lot. And then the PFD Ice Princess. This is the one that has, these are the individuals. And then Princess and the Fountain. What's Fountain? Fountain's got a few in there. We've got our center, which I find useful. Lengths, blah, 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 blah. Just little different separations. This little guy up here, top, center cross. What is that? That's fireworks. That's a good one to use. Heart, sparks, and so there's a whole bunch of different little things in there. Okay, so let's get back, and when you see that red on the bottom there, it thinks you changed something. Just hit save. Let's go to our sequence. I have turned off audio. This is all I want for Christmas. So let's just do this together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Dun, 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 dun. No, I'm not going to sing this thing for you. But let's just take a look at some of the stuff that's going on here. And this was not that difficult to do. I spent maybe 2 hours on the mapping part of it because I was exploring as well. And I thought I was going to have to make a whole lot of changes for this. And I really didn't. So I'm just going to kind of get through this. And now you can see everything's doing something a little bit different. I've got some things using the horizontal. I've got some things going up and down. You notice you don't see any window wipes going on here because I just don't like that a whole lot. That just tells me sometimes you're being a lazy sequencer. Sometimes you use it on purpose, but you have to declare that or they think you're a lazy sequencer. If you don't declare it, then you're a lazy sequencer. Again, we have light colors. We have this thing that I always talk about. The 3 C's of cinematography, having this cohesion, light colors, light movements, and then, it looks like I might have missed something on the bottom. It's okay if it goes dark for a little bit. Don't panic, don't freak out. But the idea is to try to get similar movements going with a lot of the props. And it looks like I only have something on the diamond, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing I'm not selling this, right? Because it's not finished. But the Ice Princess was probably the toughest thing to map because there were so many limited options of what to do with it. And perhaps someone else has already made a different submodel and it just never got to xLights. I don't really know, but I like what the Fountain's doing. Do I have a favorite? Not really. I have a least favorite, and that's the Ice Princess. And I could make submodels for this by themselves or in groups, and I could breathe a lot more life into this, and so could you. You go back and watch my tutorials about creating submodels, and you'll be fine. That rotational thing in the submodel area, and you can make this look great. Let's just get on. Oh, no. Whole house effects. Say it's not true. Say it's not true, but it was for a second, and then we're quickly out of it. And then you're going to see here some whole model effects with some things mixed in at the submodel levels. Okay, so how did we make this work? Because if we look at the Fusion Showstopper, you're like, well, I don't see much going on there like you would with the group. You don't see any groups. Now, this has always been an interesting, I'll say discussion instead of argument, but it's been an argument. I did a poll in the Official xLights support group a few months ago asking how many people prefer to sequence at the group level, group submodel level, versus the model level. And there were only 3 people that said submodel level. The interesting thing is, the 3 of them don't really sequence, not much. And they're all developers. And I thought, wow, how strange. Okay, so let's double click on the Fusion here. And let's get over to the section out of the intro where we have the start of this. If we look at the Fusion Snowflake, I have some layers. So if you're mapping to submodels or groups from a sequence that has layers, it will still create those layers in the submodel or submodel group. Doesn't matter. What it is going to bring over is the render style from that group, or it's going to try to. And as we know, if we look at our render styles here for this effect, either of both of these are set to render style. Look down here on the right. This is where the lesson begins. This is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to pay attention to render styles. This is what's going to make the difference if you're going from group effects to submodel effects. It's very important because we have a limited number of options. And they may just show up as default. They may show up as per preview. I can promise you they are not going to show up as single line, as pixel, vertical per strand, or vertical per or horizontal per strand on their own. Now, I know there's some code that may be entering the mapping process that will give you an option, and I'm hoping to see this soon. I think it's being checked in GitHub, that if you're at the group level and you drop it onto a submodel level, and then you could create aliases, so it always does that, there may be a choice for you to convert that group to one of these. What I would love to see on that, if it's going to do this, give us the option to use any of the 6 that are on here. Because sequencers use single line group level all the time. I use it somewhat. Try to be sparing with it. But I do use overlay center. I do use per model per preview. I use horizontal. I use vertical, depending on what the model is. So if I could take care of that in the mapping process, I don't have to come over here and take care of it one effect or effects at a time. Okay, so let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, because we'll see this in real time over here on our left. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to put this back on bulk edit. This is how this came over, most likely, per preview. So if I look at this, well, it's not bad, but it's doing this thing horizontal. And that may be fine. Let's take both of these and put these on per preview. What do we have then? Oh, see, this is what you got to be careful with. If it comes over per preview, look, there's our window wiper. Look at that. No, I don't want the window wipers. Okay, so let's take this again. Selecting both, I'm right-clicking, bulk edit, put this on single line. What's single line going to do? Single line's going to do this. Yeah, no, I'm not digging that. So I'm going to grab these again. Right-click, change the render style. Don't just forget as pixel. It's just going to make it one color. I'll prove it to you. Oh, come on, hit OK. Well, no, it's moving a little bit, but it's not what you want. Right click, as pixel, vertical per model. I used to be able to just double click on it. There we go. Now that I put on vertical per model is taking the original effect and making it do this. And if you love that, you like that, fine. But the one that I liked to take advantage of the submodels was bulk edit, horizontal per model. And this is the effect I wanted. I wanted things going in and out. There are times where I may want other models, like you see on the bottom left here. I do want that going because I like the shape of that pedal or paddles that are in there, and that's totally fine. Let's look at the next effect here. This happens to be something that looks pretty cool. Again, did I keep everything the same? I did. Horizontal per strand. The next one, horizontal per strand. Did I keep them all that way? Looks like most of these I did. For this particular submodel, I kept all of these the same to keep that continuity. But then we get toward the end of the sequence and we have this effect going on that is set at default, flip horizontal and then none. So it's doing the opposing force thing. So these are both set to default. Could I put them to per model per preview. Well, let's see what it does. And that's going to be on the bottom here. It still looks okay, but you have to be careful with that. I'm going to go back, I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to go back here and put this back on default. When you're using effects at the whole model level, such as if I was at the Fusion Showstopper, I would probably use per preview. That'll make those opposing shapes maintain their shape. Otherwise, default might just make them look really sort of strange. Let's scroll down the list just a little bit. You can see here is snowflakes. That looks fine. That's using horizontal. Randomly, I'm just going to select several of these to see if I change any of these. What about these guys up here? What did I do with this? I left them at horizontal, and it looks fine. So I think what you will find when you are mapping from a group to a submodel is you may luck out and just use horizontal per strand. It sort of seems counterproductive, especially since horizontal you think it goes this way, but the way the effect was born at the group level, this is sort of reversing it. But I'm not complaining. Oh my gosh, we're still down here in this stuff. Anyway, let's just do the new sequence and see what happens here. Okay, so I'm going to click on new, discard changes, musical sequence. This is going to be on my desktop. This is going to be this song here, 40 frames, why not? All models. Audio, let's put you on quiet. So let's see what we got here. All right, cool. What do we have up here? So the timings, we better put this on my sequence view. There we go. This is everything I want in order. Okay, cool. And we're going to import a sequence, which is the GE Overlord mapping tutorial. Sequence using a newer version. I don't care. What that's saying to me is that I'm on a newer version from what that was born because I used TestFlight. And TestFlight might have some features that the other one didn't have. Shouldn't impact this. View change options, don't need any of that. We're not going to lock any of these effects on import. I don't understand why that would even be an option, but I guess it's helpful to somebody. Do I have all pixels? I don't have any all pixels in this sequence. I have Desperado even. I got a couple of those. Overlord, all group. So this Overlord Desperado all group is something to look at. Anytime we have a Overlord group like this, it's probably a good idea to put that on the groups of the main model, like Ice Queen group, Ice Princess group, and then the individual models. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this on Fountain. I'm going to put this over here on Ice Princess. Oh, that's interesting. I did not want you to open up. I'm going to put this over here too. Fusion, Wreath, Ice Queen. You know what? I guess we just keep them all the same. Let's see what happens. We leave that alone. Spinner and Showstopper. Spinner and Flake. Anything I'm missing here? I sort of want to keep the group to the group, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep my... let's put you back here. Nah, we'll leave it alone. That should be fine. Okay, so we've covered the models. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh. The all pixels group we do not need. Okay, there's 8. I can't count. There's 8 models, there's 8 effects right there. And this will cover all the sections in the song or sequence that has the models all doing something similar. Okay, that's the goal here. Now, let's knock out some groups and then we'll work with the individual submodels. So if we look at the snowflake arms right here, I would look for something over here that has a lot of stuff that might be using arms. I could see if there's anything with arms. I see points here, so that's got a lot of effects there. Friction group, let's use friction. We'll split the difference. Friction group, and then I'm going to look at rings. I'm not really using rings. Off limits, noose. We'll take a chance with one of them. Tips. Anything over here with tips? Something on the outer edge. Yeah, the tips. I almost feel like I would rather just put floods on the tips because they don't do a whole bunch. And if you've got more than one chase, the tips are small. They're not going to, and I would want to change those to probably a horizontal type of movement. So I may not put anything on those, but on the snowflakes, off limits. We'll see what that does. Now we're getting into some fun area here. The Ice Queen arms are pretty cool. So I'm probably going to go with the points all. It's got a bunch of stuff going on there. Friction, I'm probably going to put on baton. I think the pens look really cool. I'm just going to grab something off limits. Torch looks really good. Let's go with Desperado all. And we won't wear out a welcome. That's good there. Let's get to the diamonds. Petals. Petals group on the Boscoyo wreath are really cool. So I'm going to stick with my overlowered points. Rings, I'm going to skip. Spirals, all. Well, I have a spirals. What will they do from here? Let's try it. Okay, let's go to star. Got to be careful when you run in things like circles, squares, stars. These are treated like they're sort of a native type of submodel on a custom model. And they won't always give you the effects you're looking for. So when you see something with star, you might want to consider using something that's using vertical. Now we can change it, of course, but let's see. Let's try to make it look bad. We'll go with the arrow group. And wreath, star, offset group. Well, I think we're just going to leave it at that. All right, so we took care of the groups pretty quickly, right? And what I will do is I will do this. Will I do the update aliases with maps? Here's where you have to be careful with this. When you update aliases with maps, every time you sequence and you have these models on the right, it's now being trained to always use them and pull them over automatically if you hit auto map. Now, you don't have to use auto map, but in the slight chance this is pure perfection, you would be glad for selecting auto, update aliases. So something to think about. Okay, let's get up here and try to figure out what we are going to do. And I'm going to start, well, we see the showstopper fountains at the bottom, right? So let's just work bottom up. I think it's easier than having everything fold down from the top. So let's just start here. Showstopper fountain, center, single strand, cone. There's a lot of stuff here. So let's look at fireworks, and we're going to do the Desperado. Let's do, no, I'm not going to do the cross. Center fireworks, sure. Let's see. Overlord hot. Sparks, I don't think that's going to work so well for us. Let's go over here to cone. The cone will, it's only one. No, let's do something a little bit more with the cone than that. Let's give it friction. Yes. Angle. Center. Maybe we do center with spiral group. We'll see what we get there. And let's leave that alone. Let's get to the next one. This is the PPD Ice Princess. Now, we already sort of put some things on here at the bottom with the Ice Princess. So there are groups made for this where it's the snowflake tips, rings, arms. Dare we try something with the tips group? Yeah, maybe. Let's do something that has not a lot. Let's do this one. There we go. Ice Princess is done. Infinity Spinner. This is, I believe, from Charlie's Props. Eggs. Who doesn't like eggs? I mean, soon I'm not going to be able to eat a lot of stuff unless I blend it. So let's just have some big leaves. Let's just go off limits with big leaves. Let's look at fireworks too. Let's go with that. Let's go with multi-petals. So hot. I like it. Balls. Who doesn't like balls? But what are they doing? I don't trust it, so I'm going to put one on there. Points, chain reaction. I'm saying let's go for it. Let's do something with this. Now, I'm going to show you another way to do this too. I'm trying to load this up, and I don't want you to make this a standardized practice, because if you don't know the model on the left, like I don't know them as well, you may be setting yourself up for more work than you need. Start with some basic things, because we can steal from existing effects on other models, copy and paste, and see instant feedback as to what we're going to get. This could turn out to be a hot mess. So I'm not going to do the Fusion Showstopper or the Boscoyo wreath or any of the rest. I have enough information here to be dangerous. I'm not going to update my aliases at this point because I'm practicing. I suggest when you do this, if this is new, that if you already have an aliases and you've already got this figured out, great. But if you don't, I would practice first. Start to get familiar with models you don't quite understand. And it works both ways. If you're going from submodel to groups, practice. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, are you sure you don't want to? Yeah, I'm sure I don't want to save. No. Also, make sure you have timings. I guarantee if I right-click here in my Edit Display Elements, my timings are here. Now, do I want all of these timings? No, the one I really want is this one. Now, I know over there I could have told it to add timings to all views, but right now I just want empty. Because if I click on empty, you see it's got from the beginning. Probably what I would do is just add a timing here, maybe add one here, and add one at the end. Why do we do this? Well, if we're going to be copying and pasting, it'd be nice if I just grab this section here, or maybe just all of this section. Okay. So let's take a look. What did this do? Let's render first. Wow, render took 0.62 seconds. Well, let's save it now too. Let's save as mapping test Feb 2025. Good. What do we have? I got my audio set to quiet. There you go, 25 bucks out the door. No problem. Pre-sale begins shortly. All right, so we have a lot of work to do here. We have some of these effects. Certainly the things at the group level will have come over at the group level doing what they're supposed to. The wreath star. The wreath star is doing sort of what I want it to do. Okay, that's good. Let's go over here. I'm not worried about that. That looks great, looks fantastic. All the group stuff as I would expect. So I'm not really worried about those. Okay, so that's all the group stuff. All the group stuff is going to be in the lower part. If you're happy with everything down here, we're just going to Control Z. Look at that. Well, maybe that's supposed to do that. We're not going to worry about that right now. Let's open this up just a little bit so we can see this. That looks great. That looks great. I have my layer going on there. No, well, it's just normal. Okay. Cool. So I'm happy with the group stuff so far. But if I wanted to add more of this to something else on, let's say, spokes, I could add a spoke here. And what if I just take all of this, copy this, and I'm just right-clicking, paste, or Control V. Now I've created something on the spokes. Do I like it? That's okay. Sure. Value curves in there for sure, and that one. that might be okay. Again, if I don't like that horizontal thing going in circles like that, I can change this back to vertical per model. Oh, and suddenly I get goosebumps. Ooh, nice stuff. Good, 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 good. You can see you can get through this pretty quickly here. Okay, but I didn't come here to bedazzle you with a bunch of group crap, right? No, 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 no. So we're going to start here at the Boscoyo wreath. I don't have anything on it. It is, well, yes, I do. There's a wreath. That's okay. We'll start with a showstopper fountain. I did map things to the fountain. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. Showstopper fountain. This was the first effect that started. That's okay. I don't hate it. Don't love it. The cone, I like that. I'm not really feeling this. There's just not enough. So I'm going to arrow this down, maybe find something else for it. Or perhaps this is the problem here. See, we're just kind of going back and forth and it's set to default. Well, that can be great. Maybe if I sped it up and it's going with the rhythm, but I'm just not a super fan of how that's looking right there. Yeah. So here's a real simple thing to do on this model. Change it from default. What are we going to change it to? Well, I'm going to put it on horizontal. And now we're filling up more pixel density on this and it looks more interesting. And perhaps you could make it even more. Maybe take that chase size to something like that if you really want to fill it up. If you don't like this, you don't have to have it. Right now it's set to per preview. If I put it on default, look what happens. No change. If I put it on single line, that's no bueno. Vertical per model. It doesn't look very much any different. Horizontal is not going to really look any different. So per preview, typically at the model level, looks fine. Let's look at this. What is this doing? This is the center fireworks. You know, part of me says, I'm just curious, if I took this and dragged it on top of this, would it look better? And lo and behold, that to me looks so much better with a swirl on that center section. Boom. That's quick and easy. And you do this process through the whole thing, and you just move effects down, you move effects up. Do take note, if you have multiple layers, there is a chance it could be using a layer blending. What if I had this on 2 as unmask? You'd want to make sure you get that unmasked look going on to it, like this here. This is set to normal. So before you start moving or separating effects, make sure they're not anchored to something. And what I would love to see from xLights one day is when I click on something like this, that there's like a little chain that just kind of sticks out. And what that chain signifies is that this is somehow related to what's above it or below it, so that you know that there has been a layer blending associated with it. It's very easy to copy or cut and paste, and suddenly the second half of what you pasted does nothing, or the top has does nothing because you've told it to be minimum. Now you may not see that effect. Okay, let's go over these next ones here. That looks great. That looks great. That looks great. Oh, what do we got going on here? What's this one doing? That's on the fountain. Let's scroll down. We got anything else on the fountain doing that? Nope. That's just, it's not this. That's giving you the spiral texture because this is using one as unmask. But one is unmasked on this effect is going right? If I change this to horizontal per strand, now it's going up. If I change it to horizontal or vertical per, it's still doing the same thing. So it's not super intuitive, because typically when we think going left to right, that's horizontal, vertical is up and down, but not in this case, because we've gone from a group to a submodel. Not all submodels are born equally. So I prefer this, except Would I give it more or less? I don't know. If you give it more, again, not intuitive because you think it's going to be thicker. But here, if you change it to the left, you start to get more of this. And this is going with the beats. Okay? If you don't like that, take this off of one as a mask, put it on normal. Maybe you like that better. Now we've got some color going on in the background with a swirl. So at least we're getting a little more depth out of that, because maybe it looked great on the model it came from, but here just didn't have enough. And again, if you don't like the color of that spiral, you can change it to whatever you like. You want to put it on white instead, just so you can see it, or red, whatever it might be in the palettes. But this one for this song happens to be in blue. So there you go. All right, so that was the fountain. The fountain's got some fun things you can do with it. So you just have to take time to play around, see what works. We are going to close up the fountain by double-clicking on it. And now we're going to double-click on the showstopper infinity. Now, I did put effects on this. But how do they look? Well, I like that. I like that. Mixed emotions on this one. That's on the pedals. Why? It's on default. That's probably why. If I change this to horizontal, I'm not sure I like that either. Vertical's going to do the same thing. There must be something. Let's put you back on default. Let's scroll down the list here. Ah, there we go. No. This is my dog. What color are we looking at here? Yeah, I'm not really seeing that stick out. Let's change this to horizontal. Do not make me render you. I'll render you. Let's see what's on the bottom that may be trying to take over. Nope. What do we have in this section here? I'm going to copy these. I'm going to copy that. Now I have 2 and 2. No, I don't. I have 1 and then 2. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to find small leaves and I'm going to skip that and we'll make this. We will insert 1 layer above and then I'm going to go up here. Remember, 1 effect, there's nothing below it, and then there's 2 effects in layers. Now I'm going to paste this and then we're going to look at it and see what it looks like. Okay, cool. Maybe. That's interesting. And then maybe what I'm going to do here is change these all to bulk edit. Nope. Cancel that. Render style bulk edit. And let's see what we get with horizontal. And we're going to take a look at these. Okay, that looks pretty similar. Oh, well, do I need to probably need to render? Let's render. Let's just make sure. I don't think it's going to do anything different. I think that's fine. We have a 1 is unmask. Let's leave that alone. Let's go back up here. We didn't really have anything else going on up here. We did here. I'm okay with that. Let's scoot over here. Same. That's cool. Ooh, that's kind of neat. I like that. Okay. Let's leave those alone. And let's just say we're done with the infinity spinner. Showstopper spinner. Oh, there's a lot to do here. So, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to show you something here. We're going to give this a stab. We are going to, this will be fun. We're going to copy all this using the old noodle. Got it? And we're going to take note that everything that has 2 that are on top of each other, take a minute, maybe take a screenshot. Just know that everything that's got pretty much next to each other needs to stay together. So that's good. We'll copy that. And I'm going to go up here. And there's a whole lot of stuff here. A whole lot. This is probably why you pay for sequences, because you don't want to spend all day sitting here trying to figure out how to make this do something. So let's just start. I'm not a big fan of circles. Let's see what we get with this. Okay, fair enough. Now this one, petals. We could see how this looks without doing anything, but it's gonna need a little love. So I'm gonna add a layer below. Then I'm going to take these guys, X, put these up because they belong together. And I am pretty sure these two belong together. So we want let's keep these on the oysters. Why not? Layer below. I'm going to take all of this, X this out, put this here. Okay, fair enough. These belong together. Do I want them on all spinners? Spinners long, I think, is what I want. So I'm going to X these out, put these here. And then I'm going to add swirl, half willow, fireworks, fireworks. I'm going to insert a layer in fireworks, and then I'm going to plucketh these, Control X, and put these here. Now, some things you're going to see go left and right. Some things you're going to see work just fine. That's just a hot mess. So we'll start at the top. We'll look at this one. That looks fine. Happy with that. Happy with that. Look at this one. I'm not really happy with that. So I might put this on horizontal or vertical or per preview. Nope. These spirals, and we'll make sure there's nothing else. This is where you're probably going to want to play around with a different area to make them do something different. And when you find something you really like, that's what you're going to want to hold on to. I really don't like the default. I'd rather go with horizontal. And if it frustrates you enough, there are times I will grab, let me find one here. There are times I will just go find a single strand. And the reason I want to find a single strand is it has the same colors. I'm going to drag, I'm just going to select it. Let's go up here, let's go up here, let's go up here. And the one that was giving us an issue was the cascading petal, I believe. I'm going to drag this on top and see if I like it better. I do. That's kind of cool. But again, I would take this to horizontal. And now it's going up and down, back and forth. But that also tells me that there's something down here I don't really like either. So what would I do? While this is selected, I might take this, grab it over here, change this color back to red. And now I have something that looks, it's easier on the eyes when it's going back and forth. And if they're too fast, cut the speed in half. Just come over here and say, well, I want you to go one time and maybe a little bit longer. And maybe I want to fade from the head. Or maybe not. And then we go to the next section. And we do this throughout the entire process. We find out what looks good. Love that. Love, love, love that. But I come down here and I've got these things happening. Hate, 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 hate that. And why is it doing that? It's because it's on default. Because it came from a group to a submodel. Put this on horizontal. We're going to see what that does. Or vertical. Or what else is in the way down here. I'm going to make sure. I try not to put anything too far down. Just to illustrate. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut these out. Let's find out what's really causing this. Well, that's not the issue. Control Z. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. Let's see what's causing this. And oh, it's alternating time sweeps to the timing effect triples. Triplet, 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 triplet. But at default, it's doing this, and I don't really like that. So if none of these are flipping it the way you would want it to, and you notice none of these are, single line just makes it, yep, way too many methamphetamines on that one. As pixel, just going to turn it on. Per preview, not going to help you. Window washer, Get rid of those. Default, but here's how you can impact this. Change the transformation. 9 degrees. And you notice it is doing it, but the size of the submodel and the size of the bars may be too much. So if I lower this, there you go. Folks, I know this is some work, but it's a DIY hobby and you didn't sequence it. You're just mapping it, okay? But it's not that difficult. You can make this look really skinny like this, which may be appropriate depending on the song, or you can thicken it up. If you want to give it a fade, you could, instead of having the white red, if we could do this. We could flip these. No, let's not do that. We could just make this one black. Let me show you how to make a fade on VU. And maybe you want to put the white back in there. But now you have the black. And that looks kind of cool. Even though the red and this color is opposite now, at least I like the fade on that. If you put a fade on there, you can make this a little more dominant. Otherwise, you can put it like this here. Just size it to taste. And that's all I had to do. The other one does the same thing. So I'm going to drag this right on here. And now it does the same thing. If you want it to rotate differently from the outside, or if you put it to none and you just want it to have that, I don't really like that. I more or less prefer using the transformation. Okay, there you go. And did we ever put this back in? Oh, I don't know if we did. Oh, thank goodness. Don't forget about stuff you copied. If I had accidentally copied and pasted this effect instead of just dragging it over, I would have lost this. Select. Be careful doing this. If you're finding that your shockwave is not shockingly exciting going to the edges, click on it once, select all. I have now selected all of my effects, but the only ones that are going to be impacted are the one that's right here. And I can go to my options. I've done a video on this. Scale the buffer, bulk effect checked, and now all of the shock waves are going to try to fill up the buffer. Where this fails is if the sequencer only wanted a small section of that submodel group, model, or groups to be impacted in a very controlled manner. You've basically taken that away and say everything, boom, okay? Just be careful. Now all of these will be this way. And then again, I put this on per preview, and this should act the way it was supposed to. This guy, did I put this one on per preview? I think I did. But this guy here is the one that's just acting funny, just not liking it. Per preview, window wiper, hate it. Horizontal per preview, much better. All right. The rest of this is all the same thing. It's just, we're just going to get all these effects to do funny things by trying different techniques. The three biggest techniques are going to be your render style. For single strand stuff, certainly horizontal per strand is going to be your friend. For things like shock waves, per preview, depending on what type of submodel it's on. And then some things default's going to look the same. And it's just a matter of playing. So I spent maybe 2.5 hours on All I Want for Christmas and had all 8 knocked out by copying and pasting. And most of the changes were using horizontal per strand. And that's it. Now, shall we? Let's give this a once over and see what she does. One of the models is not sequenced. Well, several in the beginning. Window wiper, who did that? Yeah, it needs help. I would probably spend, I'd probably spend an hour on this. And I would probably start over and map it maybe a little bit differently. And usually what I do is I work on one model at a time, start to the end of the song to get it looking right. Because chances are that model, especially any of the EFL, Showstopper, Charlie's Props models, are going to behave very similar. So once I get one of them balanced out just the way I want it, one model at a time, I'm going to begin copying and pasting those effects to all of the other submodels and breaking up different groups and tweaking little things here and there just to make it pop and look different. The Boscoyo stuff, because they're in groups and because I use groups, they're going to map over the fastest and easiest. It just is what it is. Could you make groups from submodels? Sure, if you want to go to the trouble and make hundreds of groups, go for it, but I don't think you have to. Figure out the combination to one of those, including the fountain. I would probably start with like the Infinity Spinner or Showstopper, whatever these are called. What are these called? Fusion. Yeah. Just start with one. Start with one, get it looking good, then copy and paste from there to all the rest. If you're not familiar with each side of the model, submodel groups, mapping is only going to get you so far. Okay? So map maybe map the groups, get them done with, map over one, make it look amazing from beginning to end, and then do the rest. And you'll have this knocked out in no time. I would say this would probably take me and maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll spend time now and I'll do this whole sequence with all 8, and then I'll put it in YouTube, share it, and let you see what I did. And I'll say the clock will start at, well, give me 30 minutes. We'll see how long it takes for me to finish this. Hey, I hope this has been helpful. I know a lot of you have been asking for a tutorial like this. I know this is a long tutorial, so just put it on speed play until it gets to something you like, and whatever you need to do to figure out how to make your mapping world better. I'm going to be a little foggy from meds, so be patient, but we'll get there, and I'm going to go to work. I got a lot of stuff to do, and this will be one of my new projects. So we'll catch you next time. I'm Ron. This has been xLights Insights. We'll see you later.